Howdy, folks. Charles Deering, and this is Maker's Mashup. I have no idea why I said it like that. I'm just trying to sound professional, but we all know I'm not. So, I I get a little befuddled right in the beginning because I want to make sure I don't forget to mute the live feed, which is just about to come on, and it's taking its time. My computer locked up, so I'm hoping y'all can still hear me.
We can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Okay, we muted it. So y'all gonna have to watch the chat and cyber spank people for me. All right. When I came up with the topic, I said, "Man, I hope I can fill up an hour here." Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Part of me is a little bit biased here. I'm still trying to sell DVDs, so I can't reveal every little thing I do. So I probably just lost 20 viewers right there if I even had that many. But real quickly to spam myself. Which I've never done. I have six instructional DVDs that explain in very thorough detail about what I do. And no, that's not the purpose of the show, is showing the DVDs. I just figured I'd bring them up because if you don't get enough out of here, and questions from the chat or panel, whatever, are welcomed. I can only answer what I know. And Russ has designed some patterns as well. And Donna Presley says she's showing off air, but it started for me. Is it working for everybody else?
I've got live, and you're live over on the other computer, so.
Good deal. Okay, now real quickly, the link is in the. Okay, thank you, Chris. The link is in the description of this video, where you can buy these DVDs. The first one is a basic portrait. Second one is vehicles. Third one is short hair, contour, and it happens to be a cat, but it kind of goes with, that theme. Horses Volume 1. The pictures you see on the cover are the patterns that come with the DVD. But it also shows you me working on it, but you're not just watching me design a pattern. I'm telling you my thought process as I go. And as each one is different, that's why I'm doing different DVDs. Otherwise, I would have just done one DVD and stopped there. But we got a Horses Volume 2 and more complex portrait with facial hair. That's all I have right now. I don't want to flood the market. There are people that want landscapes, and I will get to that. But there's really no way for me to say this without sounding like I'm complaining. But sales aren't too good, so I'm not sure how often I will come out with a DVD, because then again, it doesn't cost me anything to do it. But I'm trying to satisfy all the things requests I've gotten for subject matter on these DVDs, and animals was one of them. And I've done 3 and haven't done too well, but some is better than none. So by God, thank y'all for the ones who have done it. Now, some of this is going to be a visual. Actually, most of it's visual. My little thing here is crooked. Anyway, I just noticed that in the background. Not that little thing.
I'm glad you called it little.
Yeah, that the sign. Now it's going to bug the crap out of me. Come on now. Get straight. Y'all think of something.
No, keep going.
I can't. There's a screw in the wall. Oh, well.
Well,
I'll just lean with it. Okay, there we go. Real quickly, I'm
backward.
Say what? It's backwards. I give up. Show's over. No, for those that haven't heard, I didn't find out until a few minutes ago that some people don't know who he is, but I'm surprised. Bruce Worthington is, in my opinion, a well-known Intarsia pattern designer besides Kathy Wise, Judy Gill Roberts, and, excuse me, a couple others. He and I are collaborating both on his website as well as in the Scroll Saw pattern catalogs I just found out today, for me to make fretwork versions of his Intarsia patterns. And he's been with the catalogs for quite a while, and so I think it's going to boost me a little bit, so I'm a little excited. The only drawback is if he can't find the source photos, because it's very hard, I'm finding, to design a fretwork thing from an Intarsia because, you know, I'm used to shadows in specific spots, and it's really hard to explain. And you'll see that visually when I start actually doing what the show purpose is. But Intarsia, you know, it's extreme, you know, separation between one color and the next. So, anyway, I don't know how to explain. I'm very hopeful for what it can turn into, and I'm flattered as holy heck that he has asked me. So, Bruce, if you're watching, thank you very much. So let's hope the best for that. And Russ has designed some patterns. I don't know if I said that already. So he can give you some basics. But I'm going to disagree with one that was out there for so long, that floaters are a no-no. Something just got real airy real suddenly. Russ? Yeah,
I'm here.
I just wondered if a fan kicked on because you're the one not muted. I'm not complaining. I was wondering. Anyway, so the beginning no-no is no floaters. And for those that don't know, a floater is something that is not connected to any other piece that's supposed to stay part of the pattern. That's probably the best way to word it. It needs to be connected to something else. What some people call it a bridge. But me being a stickler for realism, I realized, you know, two real quick pointers. You can have floaters, and the most common floaters can be like the light in someone's eye. If it's out in the middle in the source photograph, having this weird little bridge coming from the side of the eye to that light in the eye is going to look a little funny to me. You can get away with gluing your piece to the backer and putting a dot of white paint in about the same spot on both eyes. That's one way to do it, because light usually is white. Another one is, for example, for the American viewers or anybody that has any kind of flag with a star in it, it's just an example as an intentional floater. That's what I call them in my designs, and I'll tell you, save the waist area around that floater, glue everything you want to keep to the backer, and to put that waist area, like the field around the stars and a U.S. flag, you would place that without glue on it, like a puzzle piece, and back into the cutting, and then put glue on the stars and put those in there like a puzzle, and then take off that waist piece, and everything's placed correctly. And that, to me, that looks more realistic. And because if you, there's just, it's hard to think off the top of my head, but if you try too hard to connect every little thing, it can be done. But I've seen a lot of, and this is no disrespect to the designers that have done it, but I've seen a lot of U.S. flag themed designs where the star field was wood and the stars were cut out, and it looked like a negative. And that, again, no disrespect intended. It just, Russ, would you agree? I mean, it kind of looks a little off that way.
Yeah, it does. And like you, once again, if you're putting a backer, I mean,
yeah. Without a backer, you're stuck.
Yeah, if you're not, then yeah. But if you're putting a backer, there's no such thing as floaters, because you can blow them in there. I mean, it's like, but yeah, if you're not using a backer, but how many, I mean, if you think about it, how often do you see most patterns without backers? Most people put backers behind them. I mean, that one you have behind you, of you saying scroll on, naturally doesn't have a backer, but
the wall was the backer. Yeah.
But that's kind of an exception to the rule, because most of the time they have backers.
I mean, yeah, when you're not worried about floaters, then that almost opens up a whole nother avenue, because instead of cutting these letters out, you can make the letters out of wood and glue it to the piece. You know, that's just a quick example I noticed as we were talking about it. And I'm sorry that you'll have to see two versions of me. You could make wooden letters, stick them on the cap. Make wooden glasses, stick them to the piece. Yeah. That comes from first time I started doing this show. That's how I would sign off, and I always wore my glasses. But now I want to look sexy for all three of my viewers. So, so I'm going to start turning my camera off. That's where Russell's headed. Anyway,
Shane was saying what Charles, without a backer, how could you have the stars on the flag without being floaters? You couldn't, and like Charles just said, they do it as a negative image. In other words, they leave the blue solid and then cut the stars out.
Yeah, and unless it's colored, see, it sounds like I'm disrespecting. But okay, y'all say I worry too much. That's an example. I don't want the designers that do that to feel like I'm disrespecting. But I think y'all know me well enough to know I'm just saying they suck. I'm kidding. I just wanted to shock y'all. Anyway, I laugh at my own jokes, but at least that's one person. But yeah, stars and eyes. That's the best examples I can think of. And when it comes to eyes, I know I'm jumping around here. Unless somebody has piercing blue eyes, you're almost always better off just cutting the whole iris out. Because I've seen people, like I did a portrait of Steve Carmichael. His eyes are kind of a lightish blue, but slightly darker than that. And I tried showing that because, you know, there is dark and light in his eyes. And yes, there's a plug that's on my channel somewhere, or you can look at a picture of him. But you'll see I didn't cut the eyes completely out. It may look a little bit off, but there's that. But okay. Some of this is going to have to be visual, but I'm trying to think of how to word it. Russ, do you have any comments on the fundamentals of designing a scroll saw pattern, at least the way you do it? I do mine on paper, so I'll get into that.
I don't do as many as you do. 99.9% of everything you do is a portrait.
Yeah.
But you know, on the fundamentals of what I do is I usually see something that I like and duplicate it as a picture, so to speak. I
like the pliers and the hammer and.
Yeah, I will see something and like the pliers and the hammer. Well, I've been making hammers for years. You know, the scrolls, I usually scroll out the handle like the one I gave you. But I don't know if you know it or not, your camera went out, by the way.
I turned it off because I didn't want to get people dizzy while I'm setting it up on my tripod.
But the pliers came up as a thing for the and I ended up not using them, but for a thing for the Makers Make It Matter auction that's coming up, or it is in force right now. And by the way, can I plug that?
You can plug anything you want, except for
Makers Make It Matter auction is only good for the next 2 or 3 days over the weekend. I believe it is. I believe it's closed out Sunday. And Makers Make It Matter. What am I talking with my hands tonight? I keep on doing that. I don't know why. I caught myself that time and went like, why am I doing that? Anyway, so go to makersmakeitmatter.com. They have an auction going on with toys and tools that are toys that you can bid on, and the funds from that go to 100% charity. So go over to makersmakeitmatter.com and place a bid on one of the toys, and especially mine's the little blue wooden helicopter. Bid on that and drop the price up. I want to see that being #1, so do that for me.
By God, and he's not looking for accolades, but I believe Steve Twidell is.
Yeah, Steve Twidell and Steve Nealon, I believe. Steve Twidell and Steve Nealon.
Oh yeah, Nealon. He's usually in the outside chat.
But anyway, I'll see something, whether it be a picture on the internet, whether it be something in real life or whatever. And mine are not a lot as much portraits. Mine are more like realistic things, like a miniature birdhouse or a cross, word art or something like that. But I'll see something that strikes me or a phrase that strikes me, and I'll turn it into a wood art. So like that little thing I made the other day, you can't fix stupid. You know, that's what's his name? Larry the Cable Guy.
Get a bigger camera, you can.
Yeah. That's Larry the Cable Guy saying, and so you know, I put that up, and I'll be darned if somebody went like you spelled stupid wrong. Really?
Duh.
So anyway, but yeah, something like that. That is what inspires me or gives me to where I'm going off with the design. Is usually I see something.
Yeah, and thank you, Russ. people have told me, and I know that I've talked about this before, dude, you probably get more sales if you did simpler versions. And I actually know that, but this sounds like an excuse, but it's the truth. I cannot, there's my desktop. Glad you got to see all that. I cannot see detail and not add it. My brain has to practice to do that. So that's actually very hard for me. I need to sit down and force myself to do it because I could broaden my avenues of sales by doing that. You are looking down at my desk. Obviously, the camera's up there. That is my pointer finger, so don't get any ideas. Oh, yeah, I do need to present myself. Glad somebody's knowing what the hell I'm doing.
Yep. Present yourself.
Thank you, sir. I'm even going to hide the panel because they're too sexy and I don't want them to. Okay, so yeah, let's get that out of the way. What I'm going to start to do is just show you patterns I've done in paper form rather than on the computer, and that'll help you to a degree. See. Okay, the way I do it is on paper, but the premise is basically, if I had to put it on a bumper sticker or in one sentence, you trace the shadows and suggest the rest. And try to remember that saying, because that's probably the best way to put it. This one I haven't even released yet because I wanted to add it as a potential part of another pattern. But that is a fence post with barbed wire. And I don't mean to insult anybody's intelligence. I'm sure they knew that, but just in case. As you can tell, I only basically traced the shadow parts. God, I don't know what to say. God, I knew this was going to happen on a live show. Okay, if you trace every little piece of detail, then it's just going to be a jumbled up mess. And I'm one to talk, I know. But when it comes to coloring it in, okay, I got to find a way to zoom in here. In y'all's opinion, is that zoomed in enough that y'all can see what I point to, kind of thing, like if I'm pointing right here?
Close enough, yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now, this mainly applies to if you're coloring it in. If you want to color in this piece right here, you got to make sure every one of these lines is clean and connected. That probably didn't make any sense at all. Let me get something to write with here. Pretend you're a bird looking down at a weird shaped swimming pool right here. This right here is a weird shaped swimming pool. The reason why I'm telling you to pretend you're a bird is not just so we can go flying, but yeah, I'm just roughing it here. But if this is a swimming pool, and see how I did not close that in? That swimming pool, the water would all spill out. That is why I scanned them into the computer to clean them up, make sure all the lines are connected. Now that pool would hold water. I know that sounded really dorky, but that's the most generic way I know to explain it. And that goes with any cutout. Even if you're doing veining, you want to have one little spot, which on this case right here and right here, you could put a pilot hole. Some detail just isn't that big. But on this particular one, I hope that the bird's eye view looking down at a weird shaped swimming pool, I hope that helps as far as not having breaks in lines. And you'll notice when you see me display my patterns that I color them in. That is not mandatory, especially if you're only doing it for yourself. You can do something as simple as put an X in there, because it can get confusing to the eye. That's why I color them in. But you just put little X's inside of the areas that are to be cut out. That way you don't accidentally drill a pilot hole in an area like out here. So things like that, it's ways of keeping you from getting confused. So as far as calling it a fundamental of designing a scroll saw pattern, make sure that the areas to be cut out are either colored in, marked with an X, and most commonly, you will cut out the dark portion of a scroll saw pattern. If it's the opposite, where you're cutting out the white area, so to speak, I can't speak for other designers, but on my designs, you will see me say cut out white. It'll say that on the pattern. That way, the dark will represent wood. It's usually a print way of saving printer ink. Let me look for another example here. Does anybody have any questions after the little bit I've already gone over? Because I'm sort of jumping around.
Nope.
Really? Okay.
And none out in the chat as of now, right this second. So
sounds good. Okay,
Charles,
so we're all
close. How close? What's the minimum you let stay there as far as wood? You see how tight it looks like it's real tight in there what you're cutting out. What's the smallest width that you let sit?
That's actually a very good question, because I find I have to edit some myself sometimes too. Like, okay, I don't know if this is going to show up or not, so I'm going to do my darndest to hold this up close to the camera, but I do have a fan blowing on me. Well, yep, the fan is getting me. Let me turn the fan. Okay. That area right there is probably too close together. That's little things like that. Either I forget to, or I edit once I put it onto the computer. So, what's half of a quarter of an inch? I'm going totally blank here. An eighth? Yeah.
Eighth of an inch.
Eighth of an inch is probably the closest I get, and even that's a little too close sometimes. But one rule of thumb is, if you don't like how brittle something is, and I'm not saying this with attitude, if you don't like how brittle something is, leave out some detail or make the line wider. Like let's pretend this marker is a scroll saw blade. You see how this one gets so close? This one is already small to begin with, so we cut this one out. But we don't want this one to get as close as it is. So as you're cutting it, come a little lower. And I don't know if you can see that or not. I went just a little short of where the actual design line was, but it's kind of hard to tell because markers bleed. Okay. So that's the main thing, and I'm trying to find one that has an example of intentional floaters, but I don't have any right in front of me, but I'm trying to give y'all stuff you can see. Now you're wondering why there's a blank line between these. This is one of my latest designs. So I just want to have something visually for y'all to see until I find a little bit of everything. Hello, Kayla. I mean, Russ. Dagnabbit. I didn't look at the thumbnail. I just saw the name. This male and female elk. For those that don't know, it's one of my latest designs. It's not on the website yet, but again, it's really hard to tell unless they're colored in. But it would take me forever to sit here and color in everything. But right now, it looks like a potentially jumbled up mess. You can probably tell it's an elk, but this area is cut out. This area is cut out. That area is cut out. That area is cut out. Blah blah and so on. But God, I wish I could.
All right, real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
I don't mind, because I'm stepping over my own tongue
well,
here.
I figured that to give you a chance to think for a second. But Debbie Shipman went, for the people who do not make patterns, beside what program do you use? I can't seem to find one that's easy enough for my old brain, so I stick to Paint. And Debbie, I mean, GIMP is out there. It's free. It is a fantastic free program to work with, and for free. I mean, that's the only one I can think of. It's just
well, there's GIMP and Inkscape, and the website for both of them, I believe, are gimp.org, which is GIMP, and inkscape.org. But go ahead, Russ.
Well, the only thing I was going to say about she says she has GIMP and Inkscape, but they are so frustrating.
Yeah.
I hope to keep Paint, or I'd be lost. In other words, she's using just Paint. So,
and this is Debbie talking. That was Debbie Shipman asking.
Yeah. So, Paint, is a basic Microsoft product, but it works great. I've used it before, and but I know GIMP and Inkscape have a learning curve. Inkscape is Vector or Vector.
Yeah.
Vector. I'll get it right. Vector, and GIMP is Raster Graphics, which is bitmaps and JPEGs and stuff like that. But I mean, you can't get any better to me than those two free programs to do for making patterns.
And I'll say two
There's
things.
lots of tutorials out there if
Yeah.
you want to.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The YouTube has a bunch of tutorials on GIMP.
Yep.
That might help you. Now, Debbie, I'm not accusing you of being like me, but if you are like me, I suck at. I picked the worst times to stop talking. I suck at comprehension of technical things. That is why I started doing them on paper. That being said, I don't use Microsoft Paint. The program I use, excuse my lack of professionalism with the cigarette and all that, the program I use is called Paint Shop Pro 4. And here's that plug. If you buy my DVDs, you can see a little more about how I use the program. Now, the DVDs are not to show how to use the program, but I do tell you what I'm doing in case you find a program that has the same features or similar features. No, I believe he got it through a torrent. I know that's totally off because he asked me about that. Anyway, I forgot where I was. Paint Shop Pro 4 is what I use, and any of the DVDs you buy from me will show you the portion that's done on the computer, but the purpose of the DVDs is to show you these. I mean, it's not specifically this. Yeah, so God bless. I knew I couldn't take up an hour. Let me think. Okay, here's
a paint shop, and I've never used that program, but you use it all the time. And
yeah,
and I've watched a few tutorials on it because I was thinking about buying it one time, but I realized I really didn't need it. But you're using an older version, what, Paint Shop Pro 4?
Yeah, I'm using an older version because I learned the basics of it, and I'm one of these if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of people. So I think they're up to 12 or 13 or 14 now. I don't even know if you can even find the version I use anymore. And the reason I'm not showing this whole design is because this is one of the collabs me and Bruce Worthington have worked on that I don't want anybody to, I know it sounds like I don't trust anybody, but I don't want somebody to do a screen capture. So on this particular pattern, I'm not showing the whole thing, but this is Bruce did an in charge version of Jesus knocking on the door. That's what you're seeing here.
Oh, by the way, Debbie, I just got news that Microsoft will be removing Paint and future Windows versions. So you better
That's just wonderful.
you learn how to use GIMP.
Yeah, I'm hoping the DVDs. I really truly feel. Now, I believe it was me and Russ Meadows the other day talking about. Because God, what I'm trying to think of the wording. Russ, what all were we talking about? It wasn't necessarily, part of it was about lack of DVD sales, but I mean it's that cliche line where somebody says you make it look so easy, but if you do it long enough, it comes as second nature. Go ahead, Russ.
Exactly, and you're right. It's when you do it as much as Charles has done portraits, it's like it's second nature. It's just like boom, it just flows right out of his hand, so to speak. He sees, he does, and that's what you get. It's I've been people when I do these scroll saw classes, and I'll do a tutorial and show people how I cut something, and so that they can see it. Then I'll give them the stuff to cut, and they go, "How in the world do you do it like that and so fast?" And I'm going like, "I've been doing it for 30 years." So when you do something for that long, if you don't get good at it, then something's wrong with you.
Yeah, for all of those, for those of you that have known me for longer than a couple months, you know that I hate to brag on myself. So it's another discussion I had with Russ Meadows is when somebody calls me a master. I truly do not feel like I'm a master. Now, if I were to toot my own horn, I will say my pattern designing, I think I'm pretty good at, if I'm allowed to say that without sounding arrogant. But I don't think I'm any.
You're not pretty good at it. You're fantastic. You're great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. But
you are the king of portrait patterns.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm starting the voices. Oh shoot.
I'm serious. I see these, just give me 1 second. I see these people post their portrait patterns that they're making and trying to sell on some of the scroll saw like places on Facebook, and I don't want to mention any names. But when I look at their patterns, it takes me a few minutes to sit there and actually look at it to figure out what the heck it is. I mean, if it's a deer, I look at it and going like, really? That's a deer? Oh, okay.
Well, that's funny too, because
Yeah.
sometimes people think that about mine because I have to blur them because I'm paranoid about being stolen.
Most of yours are, I mean, I know yours are complicated, but yours have a distinct pattern to them. Theirs is like they are just so random and, you know, placed in there that it doesn't have that flow that yours has, so to speak.
Well, thank you. You know what they say about, you know, it's the best kind of job is to have one that you love doing.
Yes.
No, although I suck at sales, and that's not me complaining. It's my own fault because of lack of the variety. I have a variety of themes, but this is only for people that have the patience to do it or can stay somewhat on the line. Lines in a scroll saw pattern are only a suggestion. And this is turning out to be more of a show and tell, and I didn't intend that, but this is an example. If you go ahead.
I just want to say real quick that in Debbie Shipman's defense, I've been trying for 3 years to do patterns like Charles does, and I still haven't figured it out.
And maybe that's kind of on me because I assumed, well, okay, I'm sure somebody, hopefully somebody in that, I'm hoping somebody in that outside chat has been one of the people to buy a DVD. Can they tell me if it helped them at all as far as at least understanding?
I understand what you do. I've seen you do it. I've watched all your earlier stuff on how you do it. And when I try to do it like you do, if I take one and put it next to one you've already done, they are thoroughly and completely different.
Well, I appreciate
it's unbelievable to me. I don't understand how come I can draw a same line that you draw and it doesn't look like yours. So I'd have to do it on my own. I just can't figure it out how you do it.
Well, they say we're our own worst critic, but is Steve French in the outside chat or Jim Dockrell or okay? Steve French, I know for a fact he has one or more of my DVDs. And he does not have to compliment me. Was there anything confusing, or were my explanations, did they make sense? Did I talk too much about things, or did
Steve
I talk?
French said he watched them all and they sucked. I'm sorry. I just had to do that.
I understand. I guess what I'm asking is, since I know he watched at least one of them, did he? Go ahead.
I'm just looking to see. Yeah, Steve, have you watched his DVD?
I believe he's watched at least one. Well, I guess what I'm looking for is, I almost talk. Okay, I know I'm setting myself up here. I talk a lot in the DVDs because I want somebody to know what every thought process I'm having is and why I'm choosing a line over another. And you'll see me change my mind in a design, whether it be in the drawing process or the editing process. And the reason why I was asking Steve's opinion was not to get a compliment or anything. Is, did the explanations make sense, or did anything I say confuse him? And I don't mean to point him out. It's just constructive criticism or feedback. I haven't really gotten any besides, hey, I got your DVD. Thank you. Pretty nice. You know, I'm wondering if anybody needs more than I'm offering when I do these DVDs. But I guess till he answers, this is Queen Elizabeth. But if you saw anybody that follows me on Facebook, that is the best way to find my most recent patterns that aren't on the site yet. I counted yesterday. Since I last put patterns on my website, I've done almost 100 patterns, so I got a lot to put on that site. But I have to pay somebody to do that, so it's going to be a while. But this is Queen Elizabeth, and if you saw on Facebook, her eyebrows, or these aren't actually her eyebrows. This is, but she has very deep shadows in the eye orbits, you know, where her eyelids go into her eye socket. And it's almost impossible to suggest her eyebrows and that shadow without it looking like she has bushy, dark eyebrows. So it's almost better showing you the design like this. But these are in two pieces because I print them out very large. And I owe Lee Knighton a very big thank you, because he brought me onto Pixabay, Pixabay. It's a website, copyright free, or whatever the words are. Dag nabbit, what is it? Creative Commons, something or other like that. There's oodles.
Commons, in other words, they're free to use.
Yeah, no, the Queen Elizabeth wasn't on there, but the Elks were. This is another Queen Elizabeth. This one took freaking ever.
Lee Nyden says he likes the fact that you talk a lot in your DVDs. It helps see your thought process. Kim, of course, says he's got one, but he's got to watch it again. Wooden Stuff says he has. Steve French says I have 3 of them. Oh, now you got to decide to tread in there and run everybody up where I can't see it. Yeah, he says. All right, let me go back. Give me a second.
Okay. Well,
he has 3 of them, and he thought that DVDs were very easy to follow.
Okay, good. Now,
So,
I don't expect anybody to be an expert overnight, but I hoped while I was doing the DVDs that giving the thorough explanations and explaining why I was making one choice over another, and I still make mistakes to this day, because this may shock y'all, I'm a little bit human, but I like, and I think I mentioned it in the DVDs, I don't like dead air, and about the only time I hear dead air is me trying to think, and sometimes I'll think out loud. It's like, what do I want to do next? How do I want to do it? This one's even worse when it comes to the eyebrows and the shadows under there. But if you want to make it look funnier, we'll just shrink it a little bit. There's old Granny right there, honey. Okay. But I'm trying to get to examples of things I've actually posted on Facebook here. That's half of a barn. I do almost every pattern in at least 2 pieces, because I can zoom in on the photograph much better. I'm trying to think of more of the fundamentals as I'm leaping through these. I want y'all to have something to watch.
Steve French says GIMP and most of the other image programs are far from intuitive, which makes them frustrating to use when you don't know what you're doing. Same with Sketch. I agree, but I would just say that only thing that I can tell you to do is I spent hours upon hours watching videos on YouTube at tutorials of different things that I wanted to learn and get better at some of the stuff. Photoshop was one of them. I have Photoshop, and I used GIMP, but there's a big difference between GIMP and Photoshop. And so I spent hours watching YouTube videos on tutorials on Photoshop to learn how to get better at it. So if you're willing to do that, or you're wanting to get better at GIMP, go to YouTube, look at tutorials, and you will spend hours upon hours watching them, and that's the only way you're going to get better. JP said he just purchased your one of your the Queen's patterns, and he's going to do it and send it to Buckingham Palace as a gift for the Queen, and tell him Charles made the design.
Yeah, hopefully he's been sincere, but I'm not going to hold my breath. No offense.
Yeah, really, I ain't either.
Well, this one's going to be hard to make out, but this one's a moo cow. Actually, it's a bull, but I didn't look close enough to determine that. That's one of my latest designs. Not going to show it too long.
Jim Bashir says, Jamie, when they see your name on the package, they're going to call the bomb squad.
Yeah, diddly. This is another one. Man, I should be discussing more on the fundamentals than just showing off, but I'm trying to very briefly go through. Oh, don't want to show that one. That one's a naked lady. But some of y'all
Charles, I can tell you one of the ones that you did. I don't know if it was on YouTube or live when you did they explained it. I mean, it made sense, and you went over a lot of information. I just don't have time to do it. I'd rather just pay you to do it. And
that doesn't bother me at all, because I'm eating cardboard here. I'm kidding. Okay, I'm going to try to do some visuals, because I probably am. I thought I could do more talking, but it sounds like I'm sort of going over things I've already gone over. So I'm just going to do a very generic drawing here. And way back when I had a rhinoceros video, I think I deleted. I think I deleted everything that I'm trying to do on these DVDs from my YouTube channel so that I could, make money. Okay, here's just an example. Okay, well, let's start out with a letter. This is me just drawing a 3D letter, or just the 3D portion of a letter. Now, hopefully you can tell that is the letter A. That is almost the same premise as a scroll saw pattern. You're tracing the shadows. Now, when I say trace the shadows and suggest the rest, you can do this and you can do this, but don't connect that line or you're going to make the whole thing weak. But now you can kind of tell it's more of an A than it was. And that's not going to fall apart. You know, it's just little things like that, but I'm going to try to, I wanted to do something quick before I jumped into something like an animal, but I'm going from memory here, so this could look really, really funny. Well, I can't believe I'm even putting myself up for this. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to try to draw a horse, and it's going to look like a sperm. Sorry. Okay. Now, this is just me doing a basic starving horse with a big old belly. But I did that backwards. They actually go down in the front with the rib cage. I screwed up. Anyway, there would usually be a shadow right here. And then you would suggest the front of that leg. I'm doing a terrible job, I know. There's a line here suggesting the rump. And a lot of the cutout would be in the tail. Terrible horse, I know, but oh well. I think you're getting the idea, hopefully.
That's just an old nag. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I do go into better detail and hopefully better quality on the DVDs. Because the horses do look a little better than that. Okay, let's work on another idea. I got see-through, so I can't do that. Let's work on an eyeball. Go ahead.
Off to the glue factory.
Yeah. I'm probably doing a terrible job at this, not because I worry too much, but because I'm trying to throw too much out there at once. But that's why I was hoping there'd be questions. But okay, here's an example. Okay, unless somebody is surprised out of their gourd, then you're almost never going to see the whole iris of an eye like this. So they'd have to be looking up or screaming. And that's a very bright colored eye, but now if you want to do, you know, not cutting out the whole eye, that's a terrible example. I'm really not doing good here. Okay.
Is that person green with envy?
Something like that. It's the only color marker I could locate that wasn't running dry. Okay, the average eye. Let's just do the iris. The average eye, if you look at it up close, it's got those lines of whatever those lines are called on the colored portion of the iris, and then you got the pupil, and I'm trying to purposely leave a white spot for where the light would come in, but I'm using a marker and it's bleeding. Oh my god, it's bleeding. Anyway, that would be an example of trying to do a light colored eye compared to just doing
Jim Bashir wants to know how you do the bloodshot part. Very carefully, Jim. Very carefully.
Okay, this is an example of a. Now, I shouldn't have surrounded the eye because that would make the whole eye a floater. But okay, this is an example of an eye colored in with the light coming into it. But you'll see it jumps out better than that one does, even though the drawing itself sucks. I really needed to be more prepared for this. I thought I was going to be able to talk it. Okay, you want me to do a bloodshot eye? By God, we're going to do a bloodshot eye. It's going to turn into drawing with Charlie. This is somebody that's a little tipsy.
Next week, paint by numbers.
Yeah.
Eyes, to me, are one of the hardest things to get.
Yeah, especially on custom portraits. Yeah, that's basically a bloodshot eye, but I don't have red ink here. I wish people had questions. I feel better answering than trying to show little crappy examples like this. I don't want to show the DVDs because that would defeat the purpose.
What's the toughest design to do?
At the risk of sounding arrogant, there's not really one that's tough. tough would be time consuming. So I get like a little kid, like I won the lottery when I see
to me, like when you did that barn pattern that you were showing a little bit earlier, that to me would take a long time to do with all those pieces in the barn.
Believe it or not, that goes relatively quick. I'm trying to think of an example of one that took forever. I mean, yes, there's a lot of detail in the barn, but let me see if I can locate it. I threw everything down on the floor here a second ago. On the barn, half of what I didn't even really trace every line that was there because you're really just suggesting that there's boards there. Okay, here we go. Once you trace the openings,
right,
and you get a general idea of the spacing of the boards, then where there's like horizontal lines coming across the vertical ones, I suggested those by just zigzagging, but trying to be consistent with the spacing. Some of it's grain and some of it's where another board starts, and of course it's not colored in, so it's not helping much. Yeah, I mean this takes a while, but it's not really hard yet. Most of it is.
But all right, how long did it take you to make that pattern? An hour, 2 hours?
The average pattern, depending on detail, takes between 2 and 4 hours from start to finish.
Right. See, 2 to 4 hours. That would drive me up the wall.
I'm sorry.
I like patterns that I can go in and be in and out in an hour at the most. I'm kind of like a quickie guy, I'm out.
That Wyatt Earp?
That's actually Sam Elliott, but you were close. That was from the movie. I did a screenshot.
That would have been my second guess. And
this is probably a good example of a simple pattern compared to some of my other ones. What is this in the way of the camera?
That is kind of a simple pattern compared to what I was looking at and going like, wow, you didn't put, there's detail in it, but not, and I can tell who it is, but it doesn't have a lot as much as some of them do.
Absolutely. And I do different themes different days. I went through a while when I was doing a bunch of nudes, and I know there's a lot of openings for jokes there, but I get on a theme with birds, animals in general, elk, which I've been doing lately, and burns and cowboys and Indians or Native Americans. It's just, I don't, I'm thinking out loud like I do on a DVD. I don't know what the hell to say next. That's why.
Jim Bashir wants to know, so how much of the mustache is really cut out? It's
okay.
That's what I was going to ask. That looks pretty detailed right there.
Okay, that might be the most detailed part, but I'm going to hold it up there, and you'll be able to see the parts that are enclosed. Those are the parts that are cut out. Now, real quickly, I could. Where's my ballpoint pen?
Well, don't ruin your. Have you already scanned that in the computer?
Yeah, I've already scanned it in. Once I've made it a scan, we're good. Okay, so I'm just very quickly coloring in the mustache.
That's one of the hardest parts I have to do.
Hair.
When I did that portrait of Russ, it took me a long time to do that thing because of that beard.
Yep, hair.
Yeah, that in general. What a lot of people try to do is trace every single hair.
Yeah.
But if you concentrate, and I can't say it enough, if you concentrate more on the shadows between the hairs, that suggests the hairs. And I think I say that a few times on the DVDs. You're suggesting detail a lot of the times in the detail that you choose. Now, I've colored in the mustache, but let me go ahead and color in the eye areas. Now, his eyes and eyebrows kind of went into one when it came to shadows. So I'm really quickly shading those in to make it look a little more presentable, and it gives you more of an idea what it would look like. So that kind of gives you an idea, but majority of the detail is very broad and easy. Now, you may be saying, now, really most of what's hard about my designs is the time it takes, because there's really no difference between this design and this design. All it is the amount of cuts. If you can cut out, let's say this right here. Okay, have you ever cut out a snowman or a snowflake or something? You have one shape right here. all you're doing is cutting out a series of shapes. So a lot of people are intimidated by how close they are together or how long it would take to do. But if you can cut that shape out and you can cut this shape out, then you can cut every one of these shapes out. It's just a matter of patience, and that's where me and Russ have talked many a time about people not wanting to take that long on one single project. But I'm bullheaded, and that's why. But hopefully that explains why some people are just afraid.
I've always told you simplify them, and you'll sell more.
I know. I know. I think I spend too much time trying to satisfy myself. Don't go there. I spend too much time trying to satisfy myself with a design, and I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, but you not only design those type of patterns that have a lot of detail, but then you turn around and you cut those patterns out that have a lot of detail, and so it's like, to you, it's not that big of a deal. It would absolutely, first off, design them would drive me up the wall, and trying to cut those damn things, you forget it. I'd throw it out the door.
Like I said, I'm like somebody winning the lottery. When I see a good detailed picture, I actually see scroll saw patterns. I see a photograph and I'm thinking, dude, that would look bad if, no, screw it, we're all adults here. I think that would look badass and I have much more detailed versions of Sam Elliott because I do detail. But
yeah, that's a real calm version.
Yeah, it is. Really, spitting image.
Thank you. And there's and Sam Elliott's a good example of certain people have certain features. With Sam Elliott, it is his mustache.
Yeah, he's got a real thick mustache.
But that's why when I start a pattern or a cutting, I will start with the face, because recognizable features are the most important thing. If you screw that up, start over. Because if I had like big old cartoon eyes, that's a that's scared. The scared version.
When did he get glasses?
Yeah, now he's got glasses.
There you go.
Yeah, he went into dentistry or something like that. Put down your pocket protectors. Anyway, so yeah, that's just an example. But I'm glad I found this one, because yes, I do sometimes do simple ones. It's not very common. I wish there was more questions, because I'm so much better at answering questions than I am coming up with stuff. But Debbie Shipman, it is because I suck at figuring out programs and comprehending them that I started doing them on paper. And also because at the time, around 1997, when I started scrolling, I did not like the lack of detail and some of the scroll saw patterns. And this is I'm going to make some enemies here, but at this point, I don't terribly really care, but yeah, I do.
I've been scrolling longer than any of y'all.
Since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, I believe.
I've been scrolling longer than Steve Good.
You
I hate to say it.
The dinosaurs and cut them out, right?
I started scrolling. I bought my first scroll saw in 1980 or 81. So you said you didn't start until 1997. So I have 17 years on you right there.
Oh my God! I think you have 17 years on me anyway. How old are you? I don't know how to say this without sounding like an insult, but to me, this is the average scroll saw pattern that comes out. Now, I've talked to magazine people before, and they say that what they have on their cover and some of what they have inside is to lure in beginners, and I appreciate that for their mission statement or whatever you want to call it. And this is not exact. I'm not saying every pattern is this basic, but I saw too many of these kinds when I was starting to scroll. And again, all due respect to the designers now and of that era, but I like detail minus the glasses. And I think some of y'all will agree with me, even if you don't want to say it publicly. There are a lot of scroll saw patterns out there that are basic, and that's good for learning. But not everybody that gets that magazine is a beginner. But they do, in their defense, they only have so many things they can put into an issue, and they do try to mix it up. And they do have intarsia. They have.
Yeah, but it's not only that it's basic, but it's like my attention span is I want when I walk out, let's say I walk out in the shop in the morning. Let's say I'm getting in my shop about 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah.
I want something that I can cut, and then I can walk out by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it be finished. Now I'm not talking about glue up or staining and all, but I'm just talking about the cut out. I can finish in one day. And
But I think you also have that sense of that pride behind it, because I'm pretty sure this isn't something you want to brag on.
no. Yeah, I wouldn't have some, but in the same aspect. So I don't think I could cut that Sam Elliott pattern. I don't know. That one's pretty easy.
I think you can get it done.
You can get that done pretty quick.
I got that done in a day.
Yeah, that one I could do the skull in a day. And
Now, it looks uber detailed.
By the way,
I can't. Yes, it does. I can't show it straight on because the light will reflect off of it.
But anyway, I could do the skull in one day. But I'm talking about that barn. That barn is like really, really, really. I don't think I could do that in one day.
I bet you could if you didn't eat or drink or sleep. And I'm going to stop screen sharing so that Russ can.
I'm not going to show my skull. I got to wait.
Show your skull.
No, I want to wait until the video comes out tomorrow.
Dang, you maybe stop doing it for nothing. Actually, it was just an excuse, so I didn't have to. I really feel like I might have dropped the ball on my intentions
if
tonight.
You think his Terminator mirror is awesome, then you ought to wait till you see my skull. Mine is a shame.
His comes right out and jumps out at you. The best way I know to show y'all me is going to be upside down. Hi, I'm falling up. Yeah, there's no way for me to fix that.
You're upside down, by the way.
I know, that's why I'm just leaving it like this.
Yeah, I like something that I can go out there in the shop and start that morning and finish that afternoon. I mean, I have done patterns that take me 2 or 3 days, and that kind of like is a long process for me for taking 2 or 3 days. I mean, I really got to really want that thing really bad, or somebody's got to be paying me an awful lot of money for me to do 3 days.
That reminds me, I have 2 people that wanted me to ask something on the show, and I'm trying to get my contacts to cooperate. Sterling Davis asked me something about, I think it was Inkscape, so let me go back to Messenger. And he wanted me to ask on the page, and Lee Knight wanted me to mention something, but let me find Sterling right quick. I don't know if Sterling's in the outside chat or not, but he wanted to know. He says he's having issues with Inkscape. I have a pattern I saved as a PDF, and when I go to, I'm good at reading, I'm just not with my contacts in. And when I go to it, it's blank. Can you address how to save to different places? Maybe he means different formats, and or what the different places are you can save to. Hope that makes sense. And because I don't know Inkscape real well, I told him I would ask the panel. Does that make sense?
All right. I kind of don't. He saved a pattern as a PDF, and when he opens it, there's nothing there.
Yeah, and maybe it's because it was outside of the printable area when he did it. I don't know.
That could be one of the things. I mean, if you're saving as a PDF, I can imagine, unless this PDF reader is not reading it or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't used Inkscape in so long that I'm a terrible. I was hoping somebody on the panel might be able to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Okay, can Inkscape open up a PDF?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, all right.
It's not. You import it. It won't just. Inkscape usually saves it as an Inkscape file is an SVG.
SVG or a PNG.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but they normally say it SVG. So if you want to import a PDF, you would have to import the PDF. But yes, it can import it and convert it over where you can see it. And it's most of the time it's just like what the original was. So if he's trying to export it as a PDF, I'm scratching my head going, what could he have done wrong that would, unless you, like you said, it's outside the
printable area.
Visible.
I'm totally guessing, but not to blow over Sterling's question, but number one, if anybody knows the answer to that, if they could contact Sterling.
And that makes me think too, Sterling, did you try to save it as a PDF or export it as a PDF? Because you have to export it, not save it.
Yeah, these things do matter. Lee Knighton wanted me to mention for those that are following along about the Ohio Scroll Expo next May. He said the classes are on the website now. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Scrollers Chat website or YouTube channel, and I believe he talked about it on his last show. In the future, I know y'all say I apologize too much and I worry too much, but I thought I was going to do a better job at explaining things. If there's anything that didn't make sense, it doesn't make you stupid to not know what I'm talking about, because I'm not the best at relaying that unless you give me over an hour on a DVD to say it. But if anybody has any questions of any degree of difficulty or ease, I'm sure anybody here on the panel and or myself will try to answer it for you. And I hope I was able to help some, but I guarantee you that the DVDs go into much, 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 much better detail than what I just did in this little bitty hour. But the premise, again, remember the shadows suggest the rest. The shadows are what make the detail, because your eye is real good at finishing some of those lines. That doesn't mean only trace the shadows. It depends on the photograph you're working from. But again, real quickly, in the description, you will find a link to where the DVDs are. Please buy all of them, 20 each for your friends. No, I'm kidding. And once again, me and Bruce Worthington and Intarja pattern designer are working together. His website is intarja.net. I don't know when my designs will be on his site. They will be at some point, as well as Scroller LTD catalog and Wooden Teddy Bear. I don't know the timeline on any of that. And again, a big public thank you to Bruce Worthington for doing that with me. And I'm flattered that he even asked me to. That made me feel. This is your no smoking public announcement. See how gross that looks. Anyway, that's why I'm not showing my face. I've smoked too much. Anyway, how can you be broken or rent? I didn't read all that. Dagnabbit. How can...
Don't say that out loud.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't read that out loud. I'm glad I didn't read that out loud. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, sometimes. Thank you for stopping me. Okay. Now, folks, I tried to do my best. I guess I overthought what I could do for the show. And there again, I know y'all know I tried. Y'all know my personality well enough. Any ideas, any questions you have, please come to me with them, or anybody on the panel. Somebody somewhere can help you as far as that Inkscape question. Sterling, a lot of people that work with CNC work with Inkscape as well, because SVG and the other one, I believe, can be done on a, CNC. Computer numerical control, whatever the heck it stands for. I don't remember because it's been so long since I messed with it.
Ken McCrory said, Charlie did a pattern of my daughter, and that was awesome.
I believe he said it made it cry, and believe it or not, that flattered me. I hate that it made somebody cry, but that's one reason I love doing what I do besides filling time. But to get that reaction from somebody is very heartwarming.
You make me cry every time I look at you.
That's why I'm not on camera, by God. Although, by the way, some of y'all may have noticed today that I was spamming out the name of the Shop Talk -info page. Shop Talk Shows -info page is how you can keep up with what's going to be on Russ's show and my show. And we started that before anybody else was doing their show. That's so it wasn't to leave anybody else out. Like Lee Knighton, he just recently started doing a show, somewhat recently, about 5 or 6 shows ago. But
yeah, he can suck it up. He ain't getting on our page.
But if you want to, there ain't enough room on the banner. But if you want to keep up with what Russ is doing on his show and who's going to be on it, that's the place to go. If you want to keep up with whether or not I'm even doing a show, because half the time I got issues. Rush's show is tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, and he is having Charlie Kasurik. I got his last name right. I can't believe it. Charlie Kasurik. He had a good following and viewership and reception, I think was the word, for veneer work. He's going to go into more detail about veneer work. And
Yep,
that
we're
is
going to do that tomorrow night.
tomorrow night at 8. I don't know if I'll be here or not because my dad is turning 74 tomorrow. And I may be there, I may be here. It depends on how my dad is feeling. But thank you, everybody, for absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for watching again. I know I apologize too much, but I'm sorry if I didn't cover anything you wanted to learn. But if you please consider the 6 DVDs because there may be something in there that will help. And you can also just flat out ask me, say, hey, stupid. Oh, by the way, late night in the show is Monday nights at 8:30, I believe 8:30 Eastern. And I don't know
You'll be watched enough. You're wearing pants.
Well, I'm wearing pants today. Y'all got me. I'm wearing pants. Okay.
I think that's funny how that just comes out every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because little old me will say something like, "I'm not wearing pants," and it's just me trying to get jokes.
Everybody's curious. Well, the hell, is he wearing pants or not?
And no, my fly is not open, Mike, because I pay attention to that kind of stuff. But anyway,
hey, one more thing before we get off here. I just wanted to say one more thing. I love you, Charles.
I love you too. Oh, don't forget, this is the last chance. Last weekend you have to do Shogun Jimmy's Skull Challenge.
And and Monday is the end of the Whirligig Wars.
Holy monkey. It's all come down to the wire, folks.
Monday is the 31st. That's the last day for the Whirligig. So you've got the rest of the night, Saturday, Sunday, and all day Monday until midnight for the Whirligig Wars. And I think Shogun Jimmy's Skull Challenge, which I've got my skull done. I just have to get the video up, and I'm hoping to post it tomorrow. But
that's why he won't show us.
Is in Sunday.
Yeah, he doesn't want to show us his project because the video's not out yet. But if anybody has any questions, I know I've already said this, please feel free to ask. In the future, I'll try to be more prepared or have a more set down game plan when it comes to something like this. I really am having trouble finding guests because there are so many shows. I don't want to do overkill with the same guests, so it does take a little longer for me to find guests. And Russ can find a way to talk about sandpaper for an hour. I can't. I couldn't even do it for patterns. I don't know what.
The other night, I found a way to talk about Harbor Freight all night long.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard everybody was taking a drink whenever you said Harbor Freight, and that was funny. I mean, that's I don't know if that was supposed to be private or not, but yeah, that was a little thing his panel had going that every time he said Harbor Freight, everybody would take a drink, and anybody that was drinking alcohol got snarkered by the end of that show. But
just to let y'all know, I was contacted by Harbor Freight. Contacted me about a sponsorship.
What?
Harbor Freight liquor?
Yep. No, Harbor Freight. I'm just kidding.
Two people I wish would contact me for sponsorship. Marlboro and Dr. Pepper. They're always by my side, and country music. But anyway, I can't do my usual sign off because you can't see my face, but I can do it upside down, I guess. No, God, that's pretty ugly. Okay, we're just gonna go back to we're gonna go back to the paper, and thank you so much for watching. Again, ask any questions if you have them, and if I can't help you, I'll try to lead you to somebody that can. Thank you, Chris Ahern, Old Cranky Workshop, Donna Presley. I never let anybody introduce themselves, so we could probably just end off the show that way. Mike, which is Michael Anthony Senior, Senior. Russ Meadows, Russ Clarity. Real quickly, so we usually start the show with it. Go ahead and end the show with it, and then I'll do my little tagline. Chris Ahern. Wait, I got to stop presenting myself. Oh, I already stopped presenting myself. Okay, so go ahead, Chris. Besides the pub, where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook and YouTube under the Old Cranky Workshop. And then tomorrow you'll find me out in the harbour having a few pints with the Irish band.
And the harbor. All right. I was trying to sound Irish. I totally sucked at it. Thank you very much, Chris. They can't all be winners. Thank you, sir. Donna Presley, my faithful panic attack protector. That long story. Go ahead, Donna.
Donna Presley, Donna's Wooden Art, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter occasionally.
It'll do. Thank you very much, Donna. Mr. Miter Mike, Michael Anthony Murray Sr. Something.
No, you got it right. You got it right. Miter Mike's Woodshop can be found on all the social medias. Miter Mike's Woodshop.
Miter Mike's Wood Shop, not workshop, wood shop. Russ Meadows, my fellow Texan with the long hair that I'm highly envious of.
Yep, I still have it. You can call me Russ Meadows. You can call me Rusty Nails Woodshop. Anything you want. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube under Rusty Nails Woodshop.
With a Z. He keeps beginning to say with a Z, baby. My lovely, oh so hairy ketchup in the beard, panic attack protector. Russ is long story. Atlanta. Krusty. Russ Clarity. I was about to say Krusty Larity, but my
You're
God.
calling me crusty?
I almost called you Krusty Larity.
Crusty Rusty.
Maybe I'm drinking or something. Russ Clarity, tell everybody, the 3 people that don't know who you are, where they can find you.
Type in Simply Wooden Creations into Google, and I will pop up my website, simplywoodencreations.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, you name it, I'm out there. Simply Wooden Creations.
By God, and I'm just gonna leave. This is my ashtray while I talk. I am woodenvisions.com. Link section should show all my social media, but in case they don't, on Facebook, which is where I'm most active, I'm the Charles Deering, because Charles Deering was taken. On YouTube, I go by Charles Deering Scroll or just Charles Deering. You see that wooden logo of me saying scroll on, and you probably know that because you're watching right now. But I appreciate y'all watching, but just take my word for it. I'm looking right at you, by God. Y'all scroll on, and thank you for watching. Thank you. Scroll on.